Thank you, Hugh. Good evening, everyone. Less than 2 weeks into the job, and Eric Ramsey is already feeling the heat at West Brom. The stark realisation that the Baggies are in a relegation battle, laid bare by a start of 2 games, 2 defeats, and 8 goals conceded already. And it could get worse tonight. John Eustace will do everything he can to play it down, but Derby look like genuine playoff contenders, and they are on the hunt for a place in the Premier League for the first time in 18 years. And as they play the song around Pride Park that really does laud their great former player Steve Bloomer, the Derby County fans are on their feet. 30,000 here, as you were saying, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. It's a big club, and they feel that they could be Premier League bound for the first time in nearly 20 years.
Yeah, and you grow up with certain things in your era, and I do remember Derby County as a top flight team, and you're right, in terms of this stadium, the fans and everything that they can pack in here, they feel that they've got that ability to go forward. They've got that structure behind them, and it does feel like maybe this is the season where it all starts to come together for them.
But it's a chilly night here in the East Midlands. The Derby team, Zetterstrom in goal, Ward, Langas, Barton, Elder, Ozo and Travis, Brereton, Diaz, Clark and Brewster behind Adjumang up front. And for West Brom, O'Leary in goal, Campbell, Phillips and Bielik, Price, Malumbi, Diakite and Styles, Grant, Hegerber and Johnston up front. The floodlights on, and we start another massive weekend of football on the TalkSport network with 2 championship sides seemingly going in different directions. It's playoff chasing Derby against relegation haunted West Brom, and it is live and exclusive to national radio right here on TalkSport 2. Derby in black and white, the white shirts, black shorts and white socks, and West Bromwich Albion in their traditional away colours, yellow and green striped shirts, green shorts and green socks. West Brom from left to right, Derby from right to left. Towards the north stand of the stadium, there are Derby fans on all 4 sides of the ground as goalkeeper Zetterstrom balloons the ball up into the air in the opening moments. And now Callum Elder in the left back position has possession for Derby County, who've recently shifted to a back 4. Danny Bart in the team tonight, and he can't stop the ball from going out of play as Derby needlessly concede an early corner. It was Elder's miss-hit pass. Bart slow to react. Corner to West Brom inside the first 40 seconds.
It's ideal for West Bromwich Albion, certainly a mistake from a Derby County perspective, but great for West Brom, the away team, but early on they can get the ball in the box and try and cause some chaos.
So it's 10 straight away league defeats for West Bromwich Albion going back to 1927. That has equalled the club record. They have only ever had a worse run on the road in the 1890s. Corner in the early stages. Styles delivers left-footed into the 6-yard box. Well taken by Zetterstrom. High above his head. A confident presence, the big Swedish goalkeeper, who's back tonight after missing the win at Charlton in midweek through illness. And Derby break over the halfway line on the far side with Bobby Clark, who's having a brilliant season all of a sudden at Derby County. The young man on loan from RB Leipzig, the former Liverpool youngster. Derby with Ozo on loan from Crystal Palace. Out to the near side, the left, and then number 10, Rhian Brewster. Even though their home record isn't great, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, you can feel the confidence and the zip about the Derby team.
Yeah, and as I say, I think the impetus is on them as always at the home side, but the recognition of West Brom where they are at the minute, the psychology involved in it all, and making sure that if they get off to a good start, Derby, if they get an early goal, they'll know that it will set them up for a lovely Friday night at Pride Park.
1 win in 6 home league games for Derby. On the bench tonight for them, O'Donnell, Forsyth, Blackett-Taylor, Vyman, Salverson, Thompson, Jackson, Sanderson and Fraulo. And the West Brom subs, Griffiths, Mepham, Wallace, Madger, DK, Gilchrist, Illing Jr., Mowat and Taylor. High ball for Derby over the top from Joe Ward. Tattoos down his arms on the far side of the field, the Derby right. It's way over hit, and it'll take a couple of bounces and go behind for a goal kick and a first touch in a West Brom shirt. All in purple, the new goalkeeper Max O'Leary, who's signing from Bristol City, was confirmed yesterday. Just his 6th appearance of the season so far as he makes his West Brom debut. He had ankle surgery earlier on in the campaign and lost his place at Bristol City to the loanee Radek Vitek, who's been very good in goal for Bristol City. O'Leary hammers the ball clear, high upfield towards Hegerber. Bart had hold of his shirt, then it's scooped over the halfway line by Malumbi. High up the right-hand channel, Isaac Price nearly gets in behind Elder. Elder reacts a little slowly initially, but eventually recovers to slice the ball behind for another West Brom corner. Derby 0, West Brom 0. Here's Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Great work by Hegerber, the centre-forward play, and as I mentioned, he gets through such a large volume of work, but there he's having his shirt pulled, but he makes sure, he gets himself in between defender and ball. The setback finds a West Brom shirt, and that sets them on the attack.
It's just the start of the live football this weekend on the Talk Sport network. Tomorrow over on Talk Sport, we're at a massive game in the Premier League relegation battle. West Ham take on Sunderland, who've had an excellent season. West Ham right in trouble in the Premier League. West Brom have a corner delivered in by Stiles, left-footed, punched away by the goalkeeper, drops down to Grant, who misses his kick on the volley. The ironic cheers from the Derby fans will tell you he's made a mistake, and then Grant pulls down Bobby Clark as he looked to sprint away on the counter, and Grant is going to get a yellow card just 4 minutes into the game.
Dangerous game, shaking my head there. He knows what he's doing. It's just now an absolute tightrope for the rest of the game so early on to get yourself into the book.
Well, I can tell you, Courtney, that John Eustace was furious about the challenge. Straight out of his position in the dugout, which is only a few rows to our left-hand side. We're nice and close to the edge of the pitch here at the 33,000 capacity Pride Park. Eustace watches on with his arms folded. To his left, the new West Brom manager, Eric Ramsey, thrown straight in at the deep end, and back-to-back defeats. 3-2 against Middlesbrough, live on TalkSport 2 this time last week, and 5 conceded against Norwich at the Hawthorns in midweek. Ozo for Derby, who will go 6th in the Championship with a win tonight. Ozo, tall and rangy in the middle of midfield. Out to Ward on the far side in front of the East Stand. Back in field it goes now to Lewis Travis. Travis carries the ball forward, the former Blackburn man wearing the captain's armband. Travis with a simple 5-yard pass forward to Brewster. Back to Travis again, and he's felled by Hegerber, and it's a free kick to Derby just outside the centre circle. What do you make of the West Brom shape early on here, Courtney?
Yeah, again, as expected, really. At 5 at the back, is that Grant that's gone down
Grant,
injured? Yeah. It'll be a shame, but yeah, it looks like the continuation at the 5 at the back, and we spoke about it before the game, and it's been a bit strange for me because Eric Ramsey said yes, he's played that previously, but wasn't necessarily stuck to it, and myself and Nigel Adderley did the game for TalkSport against West Brom versus Borough, and actually when they changed it and went to a 4, they looked a lot more solid, but continued again with the 5 against Norwich. So I am surprised, especially with the amount of injuries they've had. I think it's always easier to sort of have a 4 at the back, and it feels at times a bit like square pegs in round holes, but he's obviously very set on that process.
Well, Carlin Grant being treated here for something that looks relatively innocuous at first glance, but there is concern in the West Brom dugout away to our left-hand side. I saw Josh Madger and Jed Wallace heading back to the dugout, but I don't think they're going to need to make a change, not imminently anyway, West Bromwich Albion, or are they? Well, we'll see. Grant still being treated, and he still hasn't really got up yet. He's sitting on the turf away into the half to our left, the West Brom half of the field. Not exactly sure what caused the issue, but he is going to have to come off here, Courtney.
Yeah, he can barely walk. He's really struggling. It seemed innocuous, whatever it was, and it's a real early blow. But Illing Jr. coming on, and I was actually surprised that I didn't see his name in the starting lineup. He was probably one of the only players that impressed me against Borough. He seemed to start well in the first half against Norwich, was quite bright, had a couple of opportunities, he hit the post, and maybe it's probably just about Logan, especially because he was, the games I saw, he was playing in that wing-back role, so you get through a lot of running, so maybe it was just a case of trying to limit his minutes, but he'll be on the pitch earlier than he thought.
Just 7 minutes in, off goes Carlin Grant, limping down the tunnel, and on comes Sam Illing Jr. for West Bromwich Albion. We saw Carlin Grant score a super goal against Leicester City in the Championship on the Friday Night Football on TalkSport 2 a few weeks ago, but his involvement halted very early on here. Derby 0, West Brom 0, and this is TalkSport 2, your home of the EFL. Free kick to Derby, just inside opposition territory. West Brom's defending against Norwich was absolutely dreadful in the week. If you saw any of the 5 goals they conceded, you wouldn't believe the defending for some of them, as Elder hoists the free kick into the penalty area, nodded down and touched back towards Ozo into the box. Ozo's touch in the end is heavy, and he can only succeed in deflecting it behind for a goal kick. Good initial play by Sondra Langas, the centre half, to tee him up, and as Ozo surged into the box, his touch was, well, it had too much on it, and it's a goal kick to West Brom, 0-0.
Yeah, it did, but I think from a Derby perspective, they'll be happy in terms of the pressure that they're putting West Brom under at the moment. Just needs a little bit more of a spark in that final third, but I'd say it's quite balanced in all fairness. They've had a couple of opportunities, West Brom, but Derby County look the better at the moment.
West Brom with Inning Junior threading the ball out to the near side, the right. Johnston pulling it back to the edge of the penalty area. Malumbi! Low effort gathered by the goalkeeper. Well, maybe from just outside the 18-yard box, Jason Malumbi running onto it, first time right-footed, should have done a little better.
Yeah, I think so. He'll be expecting more of himself there, that's for sure. But again, that all goes ball up to Hegerber, and he's grappling in, he's fighting, but he makes sure he's the one that gets that first touch on the ball, and it just gives the ability for West Brom to keep possession, and they need to keep feeding him, because if it's going to happen for West Brom, it's going to come through that man up top.
One win in their last 6 home league games for Derby. Their away form has really propelled them into a playoff challenge. 24 points on the road this season. Long ball flighted upfield by Callum Elder, too long for Patrick Adjamang, and the ball is gathered by O'Leary in the West Brom goal away to the left. In fairness to Eric Ramsey, it's been quite a bright start by West Bromwich Albion. He'll be pleased with the opening 10 minutes. Headed down by Hegerber under pressure from Danny Bart. That'll be an important individual head-to-head over the course of the 90 minutes, and the ball bounces out of play just in front of us for a West Bromwich Albion throw, very close to the Derby dugout. I mean, there's no doubt, Courtney, that there is both experience and quality in this West Brom starting 11.
Yeah, there is. There's no doubt about that. They nearly got themselves back into the game against Borough, and it was only a late goal that stopped that. And mentioned actually in the first half, it was only 1-0 against Norwich, and they had some good opportunities. It was just in the second half really where they seemed to fall apart. So there's no doubt they've got players, and even the game we did at Leicester, they were so unlucky that night. So there's quality there, there's experience, but it has to be consistent. You can talk about it all you want, but you've got to put the ball in the back of the net. You've got to obviously trying to stop conceding as many goals as they are, and put points on the board. It doesn't matter what we say about them in the experience in the players. They've got to show that on the pitch.
That Leicester defeat saw the end of Ryan Mason as head coach, and it's got even worse so far under Eric Ramsey, albeit he's been in the job less than 2 weeks. Here is Malumbi for West Brom, midway inside his own half, strokes the ball out to the right-hand side, and Bielik is looking for Johnston, who's immediately under pressure from Travis, so Bielik has to go back to goalkeeper O'Leary, and O'Leary will drive the ball high into the very fresh dark night sky. The night air is quite chilly. Johnston wriggles away from Bart initially, but the experienced defender wins it back, then gives it straight to Diakite. Athletic presence back in the West Brom team tonight. West Brom in their change kit of yellow and green. They have the ball out on the far side, the left, and actually arguably have been the better team in the early exchanges live on TalkSport 2. We've got a massive game for you on Sunday, the South Coast Derby at Fratton between Portsmouth and Southampton. That is always a classic derby encounter. And on Monday night in the Championship, we'll bring you the league leaders Coventry away at Norwich City on TalkSport 2. Norwich, who really are resurgent of late in their own relegation battle under Philippe Clement. It is a fascinating division yet again, the Championship this season, and the second you try to predict it, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, is the second you're going to get it wrong. Yeah,
and I was impressed with Norwich actually, even further back since Clement's come in, and didn't really get going as quickly as maybe people thought, and they had a lot of injuries. But I did the game against Southampton, and McCarmer, I think he's really coming into his own. I know he didn't score the other night against West Brom, but was having a big hand in the goals and sort of the play going through him. So I think that'll be a really good game, because Coventry, yes, they're back to winning ways again, but it's not necessarily in the most convincing manner. So I think Norwich will give it a real good go.
Derby 0, West Brom 0. after 13 minutes. Some of the Derby fans around us in the main stand, lower tier, a little frustrated. West Brom on the attack again with Johnston, his weaving footwork, but he can't get beyond the robust challenge of Lewis Travis. Very effective at breaking up the play, and he'll spread it wide to the far side of the field. And Ward given away by Burton Diaz of Derby. Now Malumbi 25 yards out, looks for Hegerber, steers it wide left. Illing Jr. in the box, and he sliced that miles wide. Illing Jr. on his left foot, and the ironic cheers of the Derby fans standing up behind the goal will tell you that it was a horrible effort, not the sort of effort that he will want to watch back at any point in the future. 0-0.
No, it was terrible, quite frankly. He gets underneath it, and maybe trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. The wind is swirling a little bit today, but I don't think that's an excuse he can use. But more to the point, Brereton Diaz is breathing a sigh of relief. I don't know what he was trying to... It looked like he was trying to set the ball inside, but there wasn't a Derby player there. He gets it completely wrong. Not sure what he saw in that moment.
That's the voice of Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, former Sheffield United and Liverpool striker, with us tonight on TalkSport 2. Langas for Derby, middle of his own half, right of centre. Ozo out to the full-back position, and Ward, and Langas under no pressure whatsoever. Strokes it left to Bart. Bart now 35. Out to the left-back, Elder, near side of the field, and now Ozo with his socks rolled all the way down to his ankles. Brewster, as the wind picks up again, quite a gusty wind here, as Courtney was saying at Pride Park tonight. Good work by Elder to retrieve a loose ball and keep it in play, and Derby can restart, perhaps launch an attack with Langas, the big centre-half. Out to the right again, and Ward, back in field to Travis for Derby. Derby not playing with trepidation, but maybe not quite the same confidence as we have seen from them of late on the road, where they picked up some really good results. Joe Ward with an early ball, down the middle to Bobby Clark, middle of the West Brom half. West Brom with plenty behind the ball here. Derby go out wide to the right, Brereton Diaz, and Ward slow the game down. Back it goes to Travis, and now Ozo just outside the centre circle. Angled ball to the right-hand side, and Clark again with the long-sleeve shirt on. No Matt Clark for Derby tonight. He is suspended, having played every minute in the Championship this season. Another yellow card in midweek, one yellow card too many, and he was sent off. And Callum Elder has won Derby a throw, level with the edge of the 18-yard box.
Yeah, there's a big miss, Clark, in both boxes, and chips in with the goals as well. Going back to what you said, Joe, in terms of the confidence of Derby at the moment, they look okay on the ball. I think there's probably a lack of urgency, and I wonder whether that's because they don't want to get caught on the counter-attack, especially with West Brom playing the 5 at the back. There is that ability when you play the 5 to launch a counter-attack more quickly.
Here comes the long throw from Elder. 0-0 with a quarter of an hour played. Elder will take this throw in front of the north stand, packed with Derby supporters, long into the near post, headed on by Danny Bart, away to the edge of the penalty area. Ozo goes backwards to Ward, he strokes it to the right. Travis in plenty of space to ping the ball cross-field, headed away this time by Nat Phillips of West Bromwich Albion, heart of the defensive 3. Derby work the ball wide to the right-hand side again. Travis with another long ball thundered forward, chested away by George Campbell of West Brom, and now they look to break over the halfway line with Malumbi. Wide left in support with the overlapping run is Illing Jr. Illing Jr. now back to the diminutive Styles, and in the middle of midfield with the red boots on is Malumbi again. Derby 0, West Brom 0. Malumbi slows the game down effectively to walking pace, and Derby have got everybody behind the ball. West Brom look quite well organised for a team that have conceded 8 goals in 2 matches under their new manager. Forward by Bielik, and Hegerber is fouled, tripped from behind by Danny Bart, and that's a rather cheap free kick for Derby to give away.
Yeah, he's winning that battle so far, Hegerber, so convincingly. I've been keeping my eye on it, and I think out of probably 6, maybe 7 balls that have gone up to Hegerber, that's got the better of him once. Every other time it's Hegerber, whether he manages to set it off, or you see there the little cute turn with the outside of the foot to get the wrong side of the defender. Is doing everything very well so far, but that's because he's dropping in and then he's helping everyone else. They need to repay that favour, his West Brom teammates, to him and give him some service in the box.
It's 8 without scoring for Anna Hegerber, but we know the quality that he possesses, the quality of finishing at championship level. Free kick is chipped crossfield by Price, headed down into the penalty area. Campbell is there at the back post trying to force the ball towards the goal, and it's turned behind by Elder at the expense of West Bromwich Albion's third corner. This one in front of the travelling fans on the far side, 0-0.
Yeah, it's a decent little bit of play by West Brom. That first ball wasn't necessarily the best, but in terms of then the intention to win it on the second and third phase was very good.
Well, Johnston has gone across to take it. Plenty forward in the yellow and green of West Bromwich Albion. All three centre-halves are there. It'll be right-footed and in swinging this for Johnston. Into the 6-yard box. Campbell's header! Wide of goal. And West Bromwich Albion have a big chance to go ahead on the road, but Campbell couldn't hit the target.
He has to do better. He does initially everything right in terms of the movement, the strength to hold off the defender, rises really well, full forehead plant on the ball. He just doesn't direct it well enough, and we were right behind that one, Joe, and you can't help but think if that's on target, it's in the back of the net.
Well, he's a good technical and athletic centre-half, George Campbell, the American who joined the club over the summer. Certainly very good in the air, as you'd expect any centre-half to be. And he met it firmly, his leap was good, nobody really around him. West Brom should be in front. Derby get away with it, still 0-0. Adjemang has fouled Bielik, and West Brom have done a good job early on here of really quietening the Derby crowd. It's very quiet and tepid here at Pride Park.
It is, and much credit to West Brom. There's been a reaction of they're not moping on their defeat. You have to show that as a player. But then there's the next level of it. Yes, they've started well, but can they get themselves in front? Can they come away with something? I think even a draw tonight for West Brom, I think, would just settle the nerves around camp for everyone, including the manager.
Forward by O'Leary, the West Brom goalkeeper. That'll bounce into the Derby penalty area. Header away by Langas, and now the shot could be on the left corner of the area for Hegerberg. Goes backwards instead to Styles for West Brom. Threaded ball up the far side touchline. Johnston keeps himself onside, watching the line closely there. Johnston away on the far side of the field. The linesman is on our side as we look at it. Now here is Phillips in the centre circle. Square ball to the number 8 Malumbi, under pressure from Adjemang. He's been shoved in the back by Adjemang on the run back towards his own goal. Didn't really need to do that there, Patrick Adjemang, because Malumbi had nearly got himself into trouble without any help from the Derby man, and in the end it's a West Brom free kick. Yeah,
it's just a bit of naivety, especially because Brewster's up with him and Bobby Clark was trying to back it up. I think if he just continues, Adjemang, with the press and trying to make life more difficult, then that works because he'll have teammates backing him up. But as soon as you put a hand in the back, the referee's going to give a foul.
Eric Ramsey and John Eustace watching on the near side touchline, both in their club tracksuits, as O'Leary pummels the ball downfield again, headed away by Bart from midway inside his own half. Langas with a headed clearance this time for Derby, nodded forward by Diakite, nodded down by Travis to Ozo, who scoops the ball high up into the air again. Rather ugly passage of play this, nobody can get the ball down and play for the moment. Brereton Diaz then commits a foul inside the centre circle on Jason Malumbi, and it's a frustrating first 21 minutes, I think, if you're the Derby boss, John Eustace, pacing about in his technical area, a few feet in front of us. Derby 0, West Bromwich Albion 0.
Yeah, you just see the look on his face, and he's certainly not happy with what he's seen, and I understand that. They've not necessarily been overrun by West Brom by any stretch of the imagination, and he's long enough in the tooth to know, John Eustace, that it was never a case that it was going to be a walkover here tonight because of the results that West Brom have been having. But he'll be disappointed because he will be expecting a lot more of his team. They've since the first 5 or 10 minutes where they look quite good. After that, not really shown enough urgency on the ball for my liking.
Good start from West Bromwich Albion. The ball flighted crossfield on the diagonal by Malumbi from the free kick, headed away by Elder for Derby, but Brewster's lost the ball to Campbell, who runs into the challenge of Elder. Stood up firm but fair. It's come out to Johnston. Johnston in a crowded area in the right wing position has to go backwards to Isaac Price, and Price will roll the ball back to the feet of Malumbi, and now the ball is deep inside West Bromwich Albion territory again, but it's West Brom who have the great command of the game so far. And again, the Derby fans in front of us getting frustrated nearly midway through the first half, and Derby have not had a meaningful effort on goal. West Brom could be 1 or 2-0 up. Price away on the near side, the right, tries a ball up the near side touchline. It hits Brewster, deflects into the path of Bielik, then it's scooped long by Phillips, header away by Bart, above Hegerber, nodded down by Ozo to the halfway line. Adjemang holds it up, flicks it towards Clark, again he's crowded out, very congested in the midfield area at the moment. Ozo's there to shepherd it back to the goalkeeper Zetterstrom.
I think what's happened a couple of times now for Derby is it's a bit of pinball in there, and then there's an opportunity to just calm down and set the ball back. It happened with Brewster and Adjemang a little bit earlier. You see there with Adjemang and Bobby Clark, where when the ball's coming into the player, whoever it may be, and for one instance, for example, there was Adjemang, you've got to give him a set in front, but what's happening is players are running off to try and get in the space in behind before they've even got control of the ball, and that's what's hurting Derby at the moment.
That's the voice of Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. West Brom have the ball again with Diakite, who was granted compassionate leave, which meant that he missed the home defeat to Norwich. He's back in the team tonight. And now Phillips, the former Liverpool man, who had a loan spell at Derby County last season, Nat Phillips. Big diagonal ball swirling out to the left in the wind. Good back header by Ward, very comfortable. Back to his goalkeeper, all in bright orange. Zetterstrom, the Derby number 1. So it's West Ham against Sunderland tomorrow over on Talk Sport. Make sure you download our free app, and that way you can be across all the action as it happens across all of our stations on the network. Pompey against Southampton at midday on Talk Sport 2 on Sunday, and then a choice of listening on the Monday Night Football. Everton against Leeds on Talk Sport. Here on 2, the Championship leaders Coventry go to Norwich City. Well, the advertising hoardings have all lit up a very bright white, like an extra set of floodlights, and thankfully they've gone again, because we might have struggled to see the ball on the far side, Courtney, for a moment there.
Yeah, a bit of technical difficulties.
Thankfully they were only fleeting. Out on the right for Derby is Brereton Diaz, scampering infield, Ozo to Travis. You're right, Courtney, no great tempo from Derby County so far.
No, it's sort of painting by numbers, doing all the right things in the perceived right order, but with a lack of purpose and energy to it.
Travis, who is a very tenacious player, will try to provide some of that. It's his throw backwards to the halfway line, and the tall Langas, square ball to Bart. Bart now to the near side, the left, and Elder, mud on the back of his white shirt. Bart again. Bit of possession here for Derby 25 minutes into the game, but very little creativity from the home team up to this point.
See now, it's a great illustration of there's probably 20 yards between the midfield and the forward line, because the midfield are dropping so far back to the defensive line to try and get the ball. So either the midfield need to move up for one, and I think that the defensive line in general as well is quite deep, and maybe it's because they don't want to get caught in behind, but sort of the lines, the spaces in between the lines seem very mismatched at the moment for Derby.
A point would only be good enough to take Derby up to 8th tonight. They'd need to win to get into the top 6, but if you listen to any of John Eustace's pre-match press conferences and indeed post-match interviews, you'll know that he is very much playing down talk of any sort of promotion challenge. He keeps talking about 50 points as being the first target, and then we'll see what happens thereafter, says the head coach. Derby have it with Ozo, infield from the left, square ball to Brereton Diaz, who can't control it, and now West Brom counter. Styles carrying it forward up to the halfway line, jinking away from Brereton Diaz, then he was clipped by Clark. Styles stumbled to his feet, and in the end I think the referee did the sensible thing, realised there was no advantage, and West Brom get a free kick in the centre circle. If you're a West Brom fan, I think you're encouraged. If you're a Derby fan, it's been a really poor game so far.
Yeah, it has, and for Derby they're thinking, here we go again, the fans with this home form. Seems strange that they've only won 4 here, but won 7 away, and that needs to change for them. But you're right, West Brom, I think they've done well without obviously really testing the goalkeeper Zetterstrom. I think the closest they came was that header from Campbell, so it's a good foundation, but there probably needs to be a bit more quality in the final third.
The free kick is driven into the Derby County penalty area by Price from the halfway line, and it's slightly overhit. Eludes the stretch of Campbell and goes behind for a goal kick away to our right. Isaac Price has started the season in really good goal-scoring form. You saw him score against Middlesbrough in the Championship a week ago. Courtney playing in a slightly unfamiliar role at the moment for West Brom.
Yeah, and I think there's a few, probably Johnston as well. I like to see him wider, so he's normally one of them players that loves to drive and get a defenders. He's a bit wider now. It's just that they've changed in possession, but he's been a bit more central throughout the game, and that's the manager, isn't it? Trying to implement new things and trying to fit everyone in that he wants to, but I don't think he's quite found the foundation that he needs as yet, but he needs time for that.
Rick Ramsey, the former Minnesota United boss and former first-team coach at Manchester United. Foul by Elder on Johnston. I'm not sure why he's appealing for that, Callum Elder. Shakes his head at the assistant referee and arms outstretched. It was one of the most blatant fouls you'll see all weekend in the EFL, and a free kick again to West Brom here, Courtney, in a relatively dangerous position. It's probably midway inside the Derby half, but they can pump it into the box, and they'll be encouraged by the fact that already they could be a goal up.
Yeah, and I think obviously Campbell will be one of the main players that they aim for, but even when it's not necessarily landed to a West Brom head on the first contact, Derby have probably not been the best at clearing their lines, and they've been good in the second and third phase, West Brom, so they'll fancy themselves from this.
Nearly half an hour gone, and 0-0 on TalkSport 2. Standing over this free kick is Johnston on the near side to right, 5 yards or so in field from the touchline. Johnston, one arm up into the air, everybody back for Derby, whipped in high by Johnston into the penalty area, up go the heads, and it's gone wide. There was a West Brom touch on that, maybe Phillips, and behind and away for a goal kick to Derby.
Yeah, not a bad ball though, whipped in behind that Derby back line. Hegeba was sort of started 5 yards offside and comes back on that movement to try and block in some of the defenders, and to a degree it worked, but I think where the ball landed, probably about 16 yards, to get a good contact on that towards goal was always going to be difficult.
Derby lose the ball in their defensive third. Hegeba for West Bromwich Albion. Right-hand edge of the penalty area. Little flick by Johnston back to Price. West Brom playing like the team who are challenging for the playoffs at the moment. Malumbi trying to flick the ball into the path of Ealing Jr. via deflection. He's done that. Ealing Jr. towards the edge of the D. Langas makes a half tackle, and eventually Ward is across to send it back to the goalkeeper, whose clearance hangs up in the air. A lot of backspin on it from Zetterström. Headed downfield by Styles. Ozo there to win it back in the middle of midfield for Derby. Derby feel like they just need an injection of energy or something to bring to their game. There's no spark at the moment from Derby County.
No, and even when West Brom are attacking, they just seem not necessarily happy. But everything's at one pace. They don't seem alarmed when West Brom are attacking. There's a lack of energy and a purpose when going forward. It's all just very, I wouldn't say, they don't look fatigued. I wouldn't say they look tired. It's just, as you say, they need an injection of energy from somewhere. Some player just needs to take control of it. Bobby Clark here, maybe, he might be the type of player, the energy and the quality that he's got, but to be honest, he's not seen too much of the ball.
Is there a little bit of complacency about the Derby performance, maybe, Courtney? Because you're right, it's not as though they're physically fatigued. They're not lethargic, but there's no real zip about their game. There's a lack of sharpness about the game, isn't there?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, and I don't think it's the plan, because my other thing in the back of my head was thinking, is it the plan to almost try and wear West Brom down a little bit? But I think you can tell from John Eustace's face, that's not the case. He's not a happy man right now.
He is not. On the edge of the technical area again, pointing and issuing instructions. That's a good sliding challenge by Bielik on Brewster. Bielik has hurt himself. He's hurt his arm, maybe caught by Brewster, because he went to ground full body there, Bielik. And I think he was caught on the arm by Brewster completely accidentally. The referee has stopped the game, and with it, both sets of players come over to the near side touchline, and John Eustace is full of instructions for his Derby players. Over half an hour gone now, and it's still Derby 0, West Bromwich Albion 0.
He looks in some trouble, doesn't he, Bielik? And I think you're right, because he goes to ground, and it's definitely not a foul. It's just the fact that there's obviously been some contact somewhere along the way from Brewster. But that's sometimes the issue that you take when you go to ground as a defender. That's something that may well happen.
Well, West Brom, if they were to pick up a point tonight, would move 4 clear of the relegation zone, albeit there will be doubtless aware that all of the clubs around them have games in hand, and in some cases, as it is with Portsmouth, it's as many as 3 games in hand, and all of the teams directly below them have at least one. Blackburn and Oxford have both got 2 games in hand on West Bromwich Albion. I'm not really counting Sheffield Wednesday because, of course, they're so far behind, but West Brom cannot afford for this losing run away from home to carry on any longer.
No, they're perilously close, aren't they, to that relegation zone, and you then, this time of the season, don't want to go on those type of runs, so it needs to change quickly, and especially, let's say you mentioned the games that they've got ahead, and especially when you're playing teams in and around, it's good in one way, because you feel that, if you get the 3 points there, then you're taking it off others, but obviously equally you don't want to lose either.
Bielik is off the field for West Brom as Derby attack down there right with Ward, close to the corner flag. Across comes Callum Stiles, no foul on Ward, plays it back to Brereton Diaz. Clark got a touch on it, again no rhythm in the attack for Derby, and it's hammered upfield high into the dark night sky by Stiles and away from danger. Bielik comes back on, so West Brom restored to their full complement here at Pride Park. A quiet and flat Pride Park, which you can totally understand the atmosphere given the way that Derby have played in the first 33 and a half minutes without any sort of invention whatsoever, really. Clark just taps the ball back to Travis, who rolls a square pass onto the right boot of Danny Bart. The ball trickles out to the Derby left and Adjemang, back to Bart again. Adjemang very deep on the halfway line here as he finds Ozo, and West Brom quick on the uptake. Hegeber trying to win it back. Price eventually does. Johnston back to Bielik, and now hoisted downfield by Phillips for West Brom. Headed by Malumbi up to the halfway line. Towering header by Bart all over the back of Hegeber. No foul. Play goes on and West Brom have it back anyway. But West Brom just look like they are sharper and quicker to the second balls, and they seem to be winning the midfield battle at the moment.
Yeah, they do, and to be honest, they look like a team that obviously got more to play for. They are, they'll be seeing that dotted line below them, that relegation line, and thinking we don't want to get anywhere near that. So you can tell they're the ones with the urgency, and you sort of understand why in terms of the position they're in. But obviously Derby have got so much to play for as well. And you mentioned there Adjemang when he gets on the ball and is dispossessed, but he's on the halfway line. That's not where you want him. You want him higher up the pitch, and that's been Derby's problem. As I mentioned, the distances between the lines are they're very strange.
Diakite angle ball out to the right. Price on the overlap. Hegeber in the middle. Low ball in towards Hegeber, and he couldn't get to it. Gathered by the goalkeeper. Excellent cross by Isaac Price. Not too far away from the onrushing Hegeber.
Yeah, it's the right idea, and Zetterstrom does well in all fairness to him because he's on his front foot. And I was watching Hegeber, his movement, he was anticipating that, but he couldn't have left any earlier. If he did, he would have been offside, but it's the right blueprint for West Brom.
Excellent ball in, really teasing across the face of goal, in between goalkeeper and back line, and Zetterstrom in the end able to handle it relatively well. Still 0-0, Derby County and West Bromwich Albion, live and exclusive to national radio here on Talk Sport 2. Ozo in the centre circle, wide ball out to the left, and Brewster the number 10, another forward player on the halfway line here for Derby. Tempo is so slow, and it's forgiving for any team in the Championship at the moment, let alone a team with such a poor defensive record as West Bromwich Albion have. Zetterstrom's clearance is too long, it bounces off the head of Brewster and out of play for a West Brom throw. I mean, the worrying thing for West Brom is, if it does stay 0-0, 9 minutes of the first half remaining, you think Courtney Derby can't be as bad in the second half.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing, when Derby aren't playing well, when they're not at their full capacity, and that's where you have to take advantage. I think in general play, like I say, West Brom, they've been good and they've shown some good elements, but actually, has Zetterstrom been tested? No, and that's where it has to improve. And I'm just watching Bielik as well. He is constantly feeling his shoulder, that left shoulder that he's struggling with, and I just wonder if he goes in at half time. When you have an injury like that, especially when it's cold and you stop, and obviously I know you get time with the doctors and the physios, but that might continue to cause him a problem.
Well, they have got centre-halves on the bench, haven't they, as well, West Brom, that they can bring on should they need to. Tangle in the centre circle between Brewster, Diakite and Malumbi, and West Brom, through sheer weight of numbers, do well there to win it back, and a foul by Brewster, who looks very frustrated, the former Liverpool, Sheffield United and Swansea man, and a free kick to West Brom again inside the centre circle. right on the halfway line. Eric Ramsey watches on, and he must think this game is there for West Bromwich Albion tonight based on the first 38 minutes that we've seen.
Yeah, he won't be getting too ahead of himself, but he knows that on what we're seeing on this current performance, that Derby don't look great. There's a lack of energy, a lack of intensity. They've not troubled the back line yet, let alone the goalkeeper in O'Leary. But he'll know as well as anyone that means that they have to take advantage at the other end, which they've not done yet.
O'Leary pings the ball downfield from the free kick, sent very far upfield the goalkeeper to take it, and it was floated high and relatively easy for 6'6" Zetterstrom to pluck out of the air. Derby County 0, West Bromwich Albion 0 on TalkSport 2. The South Coast Derby live with us on Sunday, and the league leaders on Monday night. Coventry away at much improving Norwich, who are out of the relegation zone. High ball downfield by Langas for Derby, and that's got Adjumang sprinting onto it into the area. Good save by O'Leary with his feet, but I think there was a foul by Adjumang anyway on Phillips, and it wouldn't have counted. Very quick out of his goal there, Max O'Leary, to deny Patrick Adjumang, who tried to poke it towards goal from a long way out. O'Leary made the block, but in the end he didn't have to.
Yeah, signalling for a push there, Nat Phillips, wasn't he? But at that point, Max O'Leary wasn't to know that, and regardless of whether it would have counted or not, the fact that he's come out, he's done well, he's made the save, he's reacted brilliant to that'll give him a lot of confidence.
It was quite a simple high long ball, wasn't it, to get the West Bromwich Albion defenders turning, and nearly effective for Derby. 0-0 as O'Leary sends another booming clearance high downfield. Hegerber goes up against Bart, won the header but caught Bart on the follow through. Is he going to be in trouble here, Hegerber? It's a yellow card for the challenge. Must have been a flailing arm that caught Danny Bart. Are you sure about that, Courtney Sweetman?
Not at all, Joe. Not at all. I don't know how you're expecting players to jump. You can tell whether there's meaning and it's an elbow, and that certainly wasn't it. His eyes are trained on the ball. He's using his arms for leverage to jump. He connects with the ball. And yes, in terms of the follow-through with the arm and the natural movement, he might have caught the defender. But it's not a foul for me, let alone a yellow card.
It's interesting that, Courtney, because arms as leverage and arms being in a natural position is also something that comes up when we talk about the handball law as well. And what is a natural position? What can a player do but raise their arms when they're jumping for an aerial challenge against a big centre-half like Danny Bart?
Yeah, exactly, and don't get me wrong, I don't envy the referees and how they have to apply these laws, but that was never a yellow card in my book.
Adjumang is away down the Derby left, got his way into the penalty area, but not beyond Nat Phillips, who smacks the ball clear high and long for West Brom. Another tangle between Bart and Hegerber, both had hold of each other. Forward by Phillips, slightly tame touch, and then Campbell hooks it up the right-hand touchline. Bart just got something on it, otherwise Hegerber would have been through. Now Ozo in the middle of midfield for Derby, slips, stumbles, manages to hold on to possession, fouled by Johnston, free kick given by the referee. Derby 0, West Brom 0. That's got the Derby fans going a little bit, and maybe the home support can spark the quality that Derby need. Here's Langas just shy of the halfway line. Out to the right, and Bobby Clark. Not seen a lot of Bobby Clark in the game at all so far.
No, not at all, and that's only a negative thing in my book. He's such a wonderful player, great technician, but they've not found him nearly enough tonight.
Travis with the angled ball out to the right and Ward, forward to Ben Brereton Diaz, right hand edge of the penalty area. Campbell gets across at the expense of a Derby throw, close to the corner flag. John Eustace turns back towards the Derby dugout, and there might be a long throw here from Joe Ward as Langas is sent forward from the back line. Danny Bart is up there too for Derby County into the 42nd minute of the game. Very few chances so far tonight at Pride Park. Langas is standing right on the goal line here in front of the goalkeeper at the moment. Long throw from Ward, hurled into the near post. Bart went up, headed away, drops to Brewster. He nods it backwards to Clark, feeds it back out wide right to Ward. Ward hangs up across. Langas is up there. Campbell, the number 6, in the way for West Brom, and it's hooked clear by Mikey Johnston. I mean, they wouldn't deserve to be behind in the game, West Brom. Certainly not. If Derby were to score before the end of the first half, it would come against the run of play.
Yeah, certainly, but it just seems to be a little bit more urgency about what Derby are doing now.
Adjumang has given it away straight to Price, and then Johnston tries to spin and turn. That was silly in that area. He's given it straight back to Adjemang, who is collided with by Johnston and Bielik coming across, and Adjemang does well in a very tight area to win Derby a free kick right on this near side left touchline.
It's a really good opportunity, especially with the quality that Elder has from his delivery. As you say, if they do score from here, Derby County, they don't deserve it, and it'll be a real sucker punch for West Brom.
Well, it's Ward and Elder who are standing over the ball. Ward provides the right-footed in-swinging option, Elder the left-footed option for Derby. Plenty of white shirts forward inside the penalty area. West Brom have brought everybody back. Remember, they're defending desperately poor in midweek. They conceded 5 goals at home to Norwich City. The only way really is up for West Bromwich Albion after a defeat as chastening as that. 0-0. Derby free kick, 90 seconds of the first half remaining, normal time anyway. Callum Elder to deliver, high left-footed, and O'Leary's dropped it, and it's bundled in by Adjemang! A poacher's goal, but a nightmare moment on his West Bromwich Albion debut for Max O'Leary. A simple free kick into the penalty area, the goalkeeper drops it, and it's bundled home by Adjemang from almost on the goal line. It does come against the run of play, but it sums up West Bromwich Albion's fortunes at the moment, particularly away from home. Behind on the road yet again. Derby 1, West Brom 0.
First and foremost, it's the quality of delivery that very good about this goal. Obviously, there's the mistake in there by the goalkeeper. We can have conversations about that, and I'm sure we spoke about it previously in terms of bringing O'Leary in, dropping Griffiths. Was it the right thing? But there's no doubt that the goalkeeper gets it all wrong there. I do sympathise with him because a goalkeeper makes a mistake 9 times out of 10. It is in the back of the net, but has to do better. It's certainly not a foul. You can tell by the reaction of himself and his teammates. Doesn't look at the referee once, but then Adjemang, he has to be there in the right time at the right place, and he does just that, and that's what you want from your forwards. He's barely been in the game, to be quite honest, but when you needed him, Adjemang, he was there, and I think, is that 8 goals now for the season? Just about catching Carlton Morris up.
Yes, absolutely. He's only a couple away now from Carlton Morris's tally. Most of Adjemang's goals have come away from home, so it's a relatively rare Pride Park goal for Patrick Adjemang as we go into 3 minutes of added time at the end of the first half, and somehow, Courtney, it's Derby who are 1-0 up, and they're on the attack again with Adjemang. Goalkeeper backing away after that long ball forward, a nervous figure at the moment, Max O'Leary in the West Brom goal. Bobby Clark left corner of the penalty area, back to Adjemang, out left to Brewster. Now Ozo wide to Brewster again. He only had an hour of training in the build-up to this game with his new teammates Max O'Leary, but really for any goalkeeper, the cross that ultimately led to the goal should have been an easy take.
Yeah, it should have, and then that's the question asked, isn't it, in terms of, from Eric Ramsey, is it the right decision if he's only had that small amount of time to train? Is it really the right thing to put him in? But that's the life of a manager, isn't it, having to make those big decisions, and at the moment it doesn't look like the right one.
Adjemang has scored for Derby, and they lead by a goal to 0, and they are heading into the championship playoff positions, would you believe it? Langas in the centre circle for Derby, square ball to Ozo wide left to Elder, back in field to Ozo again on the halfway line, and he rolls the ball up the near side touchline. Adjemang is onto it, 1-on-1 here with Campbell. Adjemang trying to burst in between Campbell and Price. Between them, they just about do enough for West Brom. How will West Brom react here? We're halfway through the 3 minutes of added time in the first half. They're behind again under Eric Ramsey. It's a real test of character, isn't it, Courtney, for West Brom?
Yeah, it is, and they'll be hoping there's not a repeat of against Norwich, but I think I mentioned it before, like it 1-0 and they had opportunities. West Brom, Millen Jr. hit the post, and then it sort of, after the second goal, really went pear-shaped. So they've got to work on the basis that they've been more than been in this game. They've been the better side, to be quite honest, but what they have to improve on is what they do in the final third. And as much as I don't think they deserve to be behind West Brom, I don't think they deserve to be in front either, because they've not created enough.
Well, one of the issues under Ryan Mason was they couldn't take their chances ultimately And when the couple of chances have come West Brom's way tonight, Malumbi and Campbell, the story has been the same. Derby 1, West Brom 0 is the latest score on TalkSport 2. The ball is smacked up into the air by Brewster, comes down from a very heady height, and it's nodded away by Campbell for West Bromwich Albion. Then Malumbi is fouled. Clark all over the back of him. Clark not happy with Malumbi. Free kick nonetheless given to West Bromwich Albion. We've got about 15 seconds of added time left in the first half. One last chance for O'Leary, the goalkeeper, to hammer the ball forward. You have to feel for the goalkeeper because it's such a lonely and exposed position, particularly when you make mistakes like he's done. A forward by O'Leary, high into the penalty area towards Phillips, and the free kick bounces down inside the area. Looked like it might have bounced up onto the arm of Brewster for a moment there. Brewster clears, and that is the half-time whistle. Derby heading into the playoffs in the Championship, but the score does not really reflect the first 48 minutes that we've seen here at Pride Park. West Brom had two very good chances through Malumbi and Campbell, couldn't convert either of them, and Derby take full advantage after a mistake by the new West Bromwich Albion goalkeeper. Max O'Leary going up to what looked like make a simple take from a Callum Elder free kick, but he dropped the ball, and there was Derby's fox in the box, Patrick Adjemang, to bundle it home from close range. And at half-time, West Brom behind under Eric Ramsey again. Derby 1, West Brom 0. Well, it could equal a losing run on the road that goes back to 135 years for West Bromwich Albion. 11 consecutive defeats between November 1890 and November 1891. That is the prospect of horrible record breaking that is staring them in the face at the moment. They haven't elected to make any changes at half-time, Eric Ramsey's team, because they are harshly 1-0 down, I think, as we await the start of the second half here. Patrick Adjemang with the only goal of the game so far. That is sending Derby into the Championship playoff position. 6th spot Derby would be in, and only 2 points behind Millwall above them in 5th. Though of course all the teams around Derby, just like West Brom, will have games in hand. Derby in the whites and black, West Brom in the yellow and green, and West Brom get the second half underway 1-0 down. From right to left, with Derby playing from left to right towards the south end of the stadium, which is where the most vocal Derby fans are housed. So no changes for either team in the break. Zetterstrom is the Derby goalkeeper. Ward, Langas, Bart and Elder are in the back four. Travis and Ozo holding. Brereton, Diaz, Clark and Brewster in support of goal scorer Adjemang up front. And for West Bromwich Albion, O'Leary is in goal, with Phillips sending a high diagonal ball forward now. Phillips, Campbell and Bielik in the back three. Styles and Price the wing backs. The two in midfield are Malumbi and Diakite, with Illing Jr. and Johnston in support of Hegerber up front. I wonder what the message from Eric Ramsey was at half-time. We'll get a word from Courtney Sweetman-Kirk in just a moment. Covering touch by defender Joe Ward for Derby. Scoops the ball high and away to the edge of the penalty area, only as far as Isaac Price. Back into the box with a low ball. Travis is there to intercept for Derby, who go back to Ozo. His touch is heavy. One back by West Brom. Oh, a really poor ball. Square by Malumbi. Nowhere near Auna Hegerber. And it'll be cleared upfield by Ward. Derby get away with it, but they still lead 1-0. And now here they come forward on the counter-attack with Adjemang wading down the right-hand side and into the penalty area. Double sliding challenge on Adjemang. Two players came across there, Diakite and Phillips, and it ends with West Brom having the ball back. An action-packed start to the second half. Here's Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Yeah, and it's been a better start from Derby, that's for sure, because they were so slow for the majority of the first half, and West Brom playing their part too. I think if I was Eric Ramsey, I'd say go and press that back Derby back line.
Johnston with a good cross all the way to the back post, and Hegerber can't reach it. Good ball towards Johnston down the inside right channel. He galloped after it, beat Danny Bart to the ball, hooked in a deep cross to the far post. Hegerber couldn't get there, and it stays out of play. Another warning for Derby County. I don't know how they're 1-0 up in this game.
No, and they can't do a lot more than that, really. West Brom. It's just an awkward height for Hegerberg, and he's trying to sort of jump and get his leg to it. It's sort of the wrong angle to try and head it, and I think he's probably bothered about colliding with the post as well. But as I was mentioning, especially the way that how slowly Derby are playing it around the back, and you see at times they look fragile. If I was West Brom and Eric Ramsey, I'd go and press them, try and get them under some pressure early, which they're already doing, and then win the ball back in high areas and try and get crosses in the box like we've just saw.
A very ponderous look to the Derby performance so far. Already John Eustace is out to the edge of his technical area. Lots of Derby fans still retaking their seats early in the second half. Another big home crowd at Pride Park, 30,000 or so. Ward accelerates down the near side, the right for Derby. Looks for Ben Brereton Diaz. The Chilean plays it back to Ward, and now Travis, middle of the West Brom half. West Brom with everybody back behind the ball, heading for an 11th straight away defeat. This would be the first away defeat under Eric Ramsey, and the third from 3 under his stewardship. Out on the left-hand side is Elder for Derby County in the white shirts, black shorts and white socks. Bart for Derby now. Across to Langas, Derby, whose next game is away at Bristol City. Then they have a home game against Ipswich Town in the Championship. So victory tonight really imperative for their top 6 chances, the way things look in the table at the moment. But they're not playing like a top 6 team as they give the ball away yet again, Courtney.
No, and John Eustace there throws his hands up in the air, relatively easy pass, and actually the pace and the purpose has been a lot better initially in this second half, but still in terms of that quality on the ball, it's very much been lacking for Derby County tonight.
We will bring you the South Coast Derby on TalkSport 2 on Sunday. That's Portsmouth against Southampton, always a cracker, that game in the south of England. And then we'll be off to East Anglia for Norwich against Coventry on the Monday Night Football on TalkSport 2. Coventry, of course, the Championship leaders. Away by Langas for Derby, slices the clearance up into the dark night sky. It's very cold here in the East Midlands tonight. A wind is sweeping around the stadium at points. West Brom have got a throw. Campbell quickly back to O'Leary, who's had nothing to do in the game, really. Barr picked the ball out of the back of his net, and it was his error, O'Leary, that has led to the only goal of the game so far. Poor ball forward by Bielik for West Bromwich Albion, but he stretches to make an interception on the halfway line. Johnston jigs away from 2 in wide, plays it back to Price, and now Phillips in the middle of the trio of centre halves. Nat Phillips, the former Derby County loanee, with that long sleeve shirt on. Ball out to the right, and Bielik wriggles his way towards the halfway line. Hegerberg turns away from Bart, was brought down, chopped down from behind. That could be a yellow card. I wonder what the decision of the referee will be here, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
I think it should be. Doesn't look like he's calling the centre half to him, does it, the referee? But a couple of times now with that little battle where Hegerberg has got the better Danny Batt, and love it because he drops in and he touches the ball with the outside of his foot, Hegerberg, because he's got that sort of low centre of gravity, and over the first few yards he's quite nippy. He's done that a couple of times now, so it should have been a yellow card in my opinion.
Good record Derby have got against West Brom, particularly here at Pride Park, though they've beaten them twice at the Hawthorns already this season in League and Cup. Long way out, Callum Stiles with a shot for West Brom, and it's relatively easily gathered by Jakob Widell Zetterstrom in the Derby goal.
Yeah, we're right behind that one. He hits it well enough, actually. It's a good strike, but straight at Zetterstrom, it's one you're expecting the goalkeeper to come and collect, but Derby keep giving the ball away. The quality on the ball is so poor.
1-0 to Derby, 6.5 minutes into the second half. Forward ball by Johnston up the inside right. Slide rule pass into the penalty area. Illing Jr. was too slow to pick up on it, and it's trickled out to play for a goal kick to Derby, who have O'Donnell on the bench, along with Forsyth, Blackett-Taylor, Vyman, Salverson, Thompson, Jackson, Sanderson and Fraulo. And the West Brom subs are Griffiths, Mepham, Wallace, Madger, DK, Gilchrist, Mowat and Taylor. Wonder how long it'll be before John Eustace looks to the Derby bench, because the way they're playing, very fortunate to be 1-0 up. They give it away again this time through Elder. West Brom thought they'd won it back on the halfway line. In the end, the throw goes Derby's way. And Derby have had the luck in the game so far, but can it really carry on like this over 90 minutes for Derby?
I don't think so. They need to start playing better. Certainly foul there. Ajimang pulled back, and there's no doubt in the referee's mind there when he brandishes the yellow card that's the right decision. It was Malumbi that pulls Ajimang back.
Inside the centre circle, cynical foul, right in front of the referee, Anthony Backhouse. And next week on the TalkSport Network, we've got the final games of the league phase in the Champions League and the Europa League. Make sure you download our free app to be across all of that. Next month, the FA Cup 4th round. And as part of that, coverage of West Brom's trip to Norwich. West Brom are still in the FA Cup. It's an away game though. Forward by Elder for Derby, into the penalty area. Header away by Nat Phillips again for West Bromwich Albion. The loose ball has come back to Brereton Diaz, who steers a good pass into the feet of Ward. Ward with a low ball in, really poor. Cleared away on the half volley by the first man, Campbell. The next goal is the absolute key in this game. 8 minutes into the second half. If Derby do get it, then that should be enough. But if West Brom get themselves back into the game, they'll feel they can pick up at least a point, if not more.
Yeah, it's crucial. Look at Ward there. After he strikes that ball and hits the first man, shakes his head because he knows it's not good enough, and it's starting to look more purposeful, Derby, I would say, but the quality is still lacking, and I'm just still worried about their midfield or lack of, to be quite frank. It's sort of non-existent. They're dropping both. Ozo and Travis are dropping so deep at times to get on the ball that there's just then such a massive gap between defence and midfield, and Bobby Clark's then sort of going into the forward line, so it's almost two banks of five at times. It's odd.
Derby's last home win here on New Year's Day. Impressive victory it was against Middlesbrough. Desperate tonight, Derby, to back up the consecutive away victories that they've secured in the Championship at Preston North End and at Charlton in midweek. Derby 1, West Bromwich Albion 0. This is TalkSport 2, and thank you for joining us on this chilly Friday night in the East Midlands. Phillips for West Bromwich Albion, and now Campbell midway inside his own half of the field. Campbell carries the ball forward up to the halfway line, nudges it to his left, and Styles in the red boots, square to Diakite, and now Malumbi looks up, just wanting options here. Jason Malumbi, square ball to Campbell. Eric Ramsey in conversation, the West Brom manager, with his assistants in the dugout. Good back header by Joe Ward to the feet of Zetterstrom, all in bright orange, fluorescent orange, the goalkeeper. Now Clark in the centre circle for Derby. Tackle from behind by Diakite, no foul. Malumbi can break for West Brom. To his left is Zilling Jr. Here is Zilling Jr. left hand edge of the penalty area. Low ball in. Fizz to the back post, and Price hits it over the top on the half volley. Not an easy chance, but nowhere near the target.
No, but the passage of play from West Brom is good, and actually I thought initially that's better from Derby, getting the ball into Bobby Clark, who's dropped in off the forward line a little bit, but Diakite pickpockets him. Zilling Jr., great ball across, and Price, I think he's got a little bit more time than he thinks there. He's trying to take that on first time. It's difficult because there's bags of pace on the ball, but he can take a touch there because there's no Derby County player probably within 5 or 10 yards of him, but makes the wrong decision, probably just a lack of awareness of who's around him.
Plenty of West Brom subs warming up at the moment, including Madja and DK. West Brom find themselves behind on the road again, and of course just generally their league form is poor. 8 defeats from their last 10 home and away in the Championship. They last lost 5 league games in a row, which is what they're heading to do tonight in 2018 when they were still a Premier League club. Callum Elder will take a throw for Derby away on the far side there left. Well, 11 minutes into the second half, and we said just before half time Derby can't be as bad as they were in the first half. Well, maybe they can, yet they're still leading.
I think there's changes coming. I'm just looking at John Eustace is speaking to his assistant, who's got looks like the set pieces in his hand, so I'll be probably ready to show whoever's coming on where they need to be, and I'm not surprised they're changing it because they know they're running a risk, Derby County. If they continue like this, then the next goal may go to West Brom rather than Derby.
I think it's Matt Gardner with the woolly hat on, speaking to John Eustace. Keith Downing is there as well, another of the Derby assistants. Derby have the lead, but it's certainly not been a performance of playoff chasers up to this point. Here goes Clark for Derby, surging down the inside left, half blocked off by Bielik. The loose ball retrieved by Brewster, and then Travis goes in to win it back midway inside the West Brom half. Ozo will shepherd the ball to the halfway line, gets possession back from Bart, and now Joe Ward for Derby over the halfway line. He's carried the ball out to the right. Breton Diaz in a crossing position, attacking the right edge of the penalty area, but his touch was heavy. Styles then cannoned the ball off the knee of Breton Diaz, who would be a candidate to go off, I think. It's flown out of play for a goal kick to West Brom, nearly an hour gone.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a triple change, Joe. And that probably tells you a lot in terms of this Derby County performance. It's not something that you see very often, 13 minutes into the second half, but it shows you how poorly Derby have played and how fortunate they are to be one up.
The ball is in the centre circle with Malumbi, who evades the challenge of Clark and then stumbles, is caught by Clark, and here comes the yellow card out of the pocket of the referee for Travis, who made the initial challenge. Diakite not happy with Clark, and he's making his point and his view on the challenge very clear. Certainly a booking for the Derby captain, and certainly changes on the way, I think, for both teams. It looks like subs are coming up.
Two triple subs potentially by the look of it, so change at the station.
Well, I'll get the notepad ready, Courtney. You can watch the game. Here we go. Plenty of changes on the way.
It's the fourth official I feel sorry for. How many boards has he got?
Well, he'll need 6 at the moment, won't he? And that's if he can keep across all of the numbers correctly, which isn't always the case. 59 minutes gone on TalkSport 2. Derby into the playoffs at the moment. West Brom will stay 3 points clear of the Championship relegation zone. They've got a free kick, slither into Derby territory. Standing over the ball is Callum Styles. I don't know whether Derby want to make a change or whether West Brom do before the free kick is taken. Jed Wallace is down at pitch side for West Bromwich Albion. Ever dependable going forward, Jed Wallace. He's had an injury hit season. Forward by Styles from the free kick, high to the back post, and George Campbell will keep it in play, hooks it over his shoulder, cleared away by Derby, only as far as Price to loft it back into the penalty area. Jumping to head clear is Ward. It's come out to Malumbi, nudges it wide towards the left. Diakite can't get there, just lacking that refinement in the final third at the moment. West Bromwich Albion, that sharpness in their play. Diakite has, well, accidentally tripped Ward, but it is a free kick, whether it was an accident or not. Free kick to Derby in their right back position. Plenty of changes afoot. Wallace and DK ready to come on for West Bromwich Albion. I think they're going to go first. Josh Madger is coming on as well. So Madger for Hegerber, and that is like for like, we know that. Johnston coming off as well, and he'll be replaced by Jed Wallace, who did score recently away from home in the FA Cup victory at Swansea, a victory on penalties, and Callum Styles replaced by DK. So attacking changes certainly for West Brom, Courtney.
Yeah, and I think what it'll mean is Jed Wallace, he's going to play as one of the right wing backs. That means that Price then sits into the midfield, and I think he'll feel better being there a little more central. And then you've got Madger and DK, whether it's more of a 3-5-2 now and adding that attacking impetus.
Well, DK is certainly the focal point as the front man. Not scored in a long time, Daryl DK, since last May. Terrible injury problems have blighted his West Brom career. Poor challenge by Elder on Wallace, and a free kick to West Brom. There's been no real change in the Derby performance levels over the course of the first hour of the game here. Though they lead 1-0, it's been very unconvincing. Corey Blackett-Taylor and Oscar Fraulo, a recent signing, ready to come on for Derby. Header away by Bart for Derby from the edge of his own penalty area, given away yet again by Elder. Drops down to Campbell, midway inside the Derby half, sweeping ball out to the left-hand side where Illing Jr. is waiting. Plenty in the middle, deflection on the cross. Zetterstrom does well to get across and prevent it going behind for a corner. Liam Thompson is going to come on for Derby as well, so absolutely right, Courtney. A triple change for the Rams. upcoming, and I'm sure the home fans will feel not before time.
Yeah, they'll feel more than happy with that, because they won't be happy with what they've seen. The substitutes need to, though, come on and give Derby that attacking impetus, because if anything, so West Brom the first to make the triple subs, and it seems to have worked for them. Jed Wallace straight away in the thick of it, gets on the ball, draws the foul, and Derby looking very lacklustre at the moment.
Well, the referee has made an accidental interception, and West Brom will get the ball back in the centre circle. Here come the changes. He's been well shackled tonight, Bobby Clark, and he will trudge off here to be replaced by the Dane Fraulo. It's a measure of how well West Brom have done in keeping him quiet. Another change in midfield for Derby sees Ozo go off to be replaced by Thompson. That is like for like. And Brewster leaving the field as well. Again, like for like this change. Blackett-Taylor, who started against his former club Charlton in midweek.
Yeah, and I don't think, as I mentioned, any of those players can really complain. It's been a real tough night, really, for the fans more than anything. I think just we nipped down to the press room quickly, and I could hear some of them in the concourse saying, I don't know how we're 1-0 up, and I would certainly concur with that.
And yet they still remain 1-0 into the lead, Derby County. Triple change for the visitors, followed very quickly by a triple change for the home team. Nearly 20 minutes into the second half now. A poor quality game in the Championship up to this point, but plenty of jeopardy involved in both the playoff fight and the relegation battle. Derby up to 6th as it stands. Here is Campbell for West Bromwich Albion. Long ball thundered down the middle, header away by Barts, and the loose ball retrieved by Price. Now Madger for West Brom, 25 yards out, sets up Wallace on the overlap with a great cross. DK flung himself at it, cleared away, hitting Junior with the shot. That's blocked as it was goal bound, turned away by Langas. West Bromwich Albion threatening an equaliser, but they couldn't quite get it. DK really threw himself at that ball, not sure how he didn't make contact. Derby counter now. In the middle of midfield is Thompson, his first couple of touches of the ball. Wide right is Fraulo. Adjemang in the middle. Fraulo with a very deep crossover hit. Blackett-Taylor will do well to keep it in, and he has not done down by the dead ball line. It's a goal kick to West Bromwich Albion. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, bit of excitement there in this second half.
Yeah, there was, and Thompson on the ball there for Derby does so well on the counter-attack. Great feet, but wasted by Fraulo in the end. And as you say, DK at the other end, not sure how he doesn't get a touch on that. Seems to throw his body at it. Great ball in the box, and the follow-up was blocked as well. And you can't help but feel the next goal, if there is to be one, is going to be a West Brom one.
Fraulo in the red boots on the halfway line for Derby, turning away from Price, going backwards to Travis. Derby looking to get a little more midfield steel into the centre of the park, with Thompson having come on. Brereton Diaz rolling the ball backwards, a little back flick to Ward, and now Travis on the halfway line carries it forward towards the midway point of the West Brom half, is fouled, tackle from behind by DK, and a free kick to Derby. Eric Ramsey must be wondering, Courtney, how West Brom are behind.
Yeah, he's going to be very disappointed, because I'm sure in terms of from the process and the metrics, they're probably delivering, at least in the first two thirds, the defensive thirds and the midfield third, what he wanted and what they've been working on. It's just that cutting edge, isn't it, in the final third, and also that probably comes from a little bit of confidence. And when you're on a losing run away from home the way they are, you don't really get the rub of the green.
Free kick for Derby, and Ward has smacked it against the first man in the wall, Madger, who can't have been the requisite 10 yards away. And John Eustace making the point to the fourth official, and Derby players on the field making the point to the referee.
Yeah, he 100% wasn't, and actually was quite clever, because he kept nicking half a yard. But what I'm really surprised at is Ward, he doesn't say anything to the referee, so when the referee's back turned, he nicks a few yards, Madger, but Ward doesn't say anything.
Well, the assistant was right in front of it. We were right in front of it. We're only 10-15 rows from the edge of the pitch here. Derby give it away. One back by Wallace, rampaging down the right. Early ball in towards Madger, cleared away by Langas. One bounce and the clearance away on the half volley. We're nearly into the final quarter of the game. Derby counter. Adjumang has got Brereton Diaz ahead of him. Brereton Diaz is in behind him, clear on goal! And he's rolled it wide from the angle. O'Leary had it covered anyway. Stays just 1-0 to Derby.
He scuffs it, Joe. You don't get the right connection at all. And it's a mistake from West Brom. Adjumang does well. They pounce on it. That's the turn, and then the weight of pass by Adjumang down just to the right hand side of the pitch, probably 30 yards down. He rolls it down the side of the centre half. Brereton Diaz making that into out run, times it perfectly. First touch sets him up, and you think he'd just strike it across goal, which he tries to do, but instead of hitting it with the laces across the goal, he completely scuffs it.
Header away by Campbell for West Brom, who get away with it themselves there. Derby 1, West Brom 0. West Brom have it with Sam Illing Jr. on the halfway line, the man on loan from Aston Villa, jinking away from Fraulo, rolling it square to Diakite. West Brom will take any kind of result tonight, win or draw. They'd be happy with a point, certainly at this stage, with a little over 20 minutes to go. The West Brom fans think that Zetterstrom has come out of his penalty area to claim, but they're a long way away from it. Officials said no. Brereton Diaz near side for Derby. Back to Travis. At what point do Derby really start to manage the game and think, well, we're not playing well, but we might as well hold what we have?
Not just yet. We're only ticking into the 25th minute nearly of this half, so I think it's a very, very dangerous game to try and sit in now and soak up the pressure, especially with the way that they've played. It's hard enough doing that when you've played well, but when you know in yourself that you're not playing particularly well, it's even more difficult. So I think there's definitely an increased energy at times, and that sometimes off the back of actually a West Brom attack, but it's better in fits and starts from Derby County. They need to show more of that attacking impetus.
Well, there's definitely pressure at the bottom end of the Premier League. West Ham take on Sunderland tomorrow, live over on Talk Sport. It's a 12:30 kick-off, live and exclusive from the Premier League. And on Sunday, the South Coast derby between Portsmouth and Southampton, midday at Fratton Park, live here on Talk Sport 2. Here is Elder for Derby, carrying the ball over the halfway line, rolling it forward to Fraulo, back first time to Travis. Derby have got a better grip on the game, I think, since the substitutions. 20 minutes to go, they're 1-0 up. Ward on the near side, the right, nudges it wide to Brereton Diaz, right in front of us here, midway inside the West Brom half. Back it goes now to Langas and Bart, the deepest Derby outfield player. Threads the ball left to Elder on the far side. Little touch, glancing touch infield by Blackett-Taylor. Thompson diminutive with that low centre of gravity, wrestles away from the challenger Price and rolls the ball backwards again to Bart. Little touch to his goalkeeper, and Derby can build from the back again. But they do look a more stable force in midfield since John Eustace made his 3 changes, Courtney.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, and I like the way that Thompson gets on the ball as well, makes things happen, and certainly a renewed energy about them. It's just sometimes, I think, especially out on this right hand side actually, when it comes out to Brereton Diaz, he really seems to slow the play down and almost hesitates, waits, then plays a 5-yard pass inside, which is fine, but if you can do that on 1 and 2 touch, I'd like him to do it more quickly, because the rest of the tempo has increased for everyone else in the team, but he just seems to be still in the old mindset of the way they've been playing.
Good diagonal ball by Travis, out to the left. Blackett-Taylor, left corner of the penalty area, 2 in the middle. Blackett-Taylor twisting and turning to the dead ball line. He tries a cross, it goes behind off Bierlich. It's a corner for Derby in front of the south stand.
Yeah, it's better. Great ball. The fans are responding there, up on their feet and clapping their team along. The only thing I will say there is Fraulo was in a great position. I think Blackett-Taylor sees him trying to drive and get to the byline and get the crossing, but I think if he looks up a little bit earlier, there's a cut back 12 yards out, and Fraulo's in a really good position because all of the West Brom defenders had clapped almost onto the goal line.
Derby 6th in the Championship, a point clear of Preston in 7th, 2 clear of Watford, who would have 2 games in hand. But I suppose it's better to have the points first and foremost. Ward will take the corner, right-footed and in, swinging. Everybody back in a yellow and green shirt for West Brom. In by Ward. The ball spins off the head of Illing Jr. Goalkeeper can't get there. He can't punch it clear, O'Leary. It's not back out wide to Ward, but the referee's assistant has his flag up on the near side of the field. West Brom have got a free kick, but it was very unconvincing from O'Leary. He was just lost in a melee of bodies there, the goalkeeper. He's not the biggest, and it showed there, I think, Courtney.
Yeah, and I don't know why he comes for that ball, because there's a number of players, his own defenders and then Derby County players in front of him. He did not look convincing whatsoever. And if I'm Derby now, seeing what I've seen, it's fine to make one mistake, but it's how you react from that. And again, just the decision making there from O'Leary, I'm not convinced. So if I, like, as I say, if I was Derby County, every corner, every cross, put it on top of the goalkeeper and put him under pressure, because he does not look comfortable.
Some Derby fans getting up in front of us, Courtney. They can't be heading for the exits already, surely. Not with 17 minutes to go.
You wouldn't think so. And
it is cold, but it's not that cold.
Maybe if they get home quickly, they can. The TV cameras are here tonight. Maybe they'll catch the rest on the TV.
Well, John Eustace is calling his Derby players over here live on TalkSport 2 for a quick chat while treatment continues in the penalty area for the West Brom man Christian Bielik. Lots of West Brom discussions ongoing at the moment. What have West Brom been missing ultimately tonight? Is it that finishing touch, the only thing that has let them down?
Yeah, it is the quality in the final third, getting into there. There's been elements where they've done quite well. I think that the big chance was Campbell, wasn't it, in the first half? And actually, Jed Wallace, since he's come on, he's brilliant. You know what you're going to get from him in terms of him when he's crossing the ball in wide areas, but they've not done that enough. And it's Bielik, isn't he? You see he's had his arm, I think, strapped up earlier, and
looks like he's really hurt it.
Yeah, and it's what they've done is they've almost folded it into his shirt to create a sling, sort of makeshift. And left shoulder, I said at half time, he might struggle with it once he stops, and maybe took another knock on it there from the corner, and he's certainly not happy with it.
Well, on comes Chris Mepham, who is certainly a ready-made replacement, the former Bournemouth man who won promotion to the Premier League on loan from Sunderland last season. Derby 1, West Bromwich Albion 0, 16 minutes to go. So Bielik has been forced off, as well as Grant. That's two players who've left the field injured for West Brom tonight. Floodlights on at Pride Park, a half header away by Bart, midway inside his own half. DK emerges through a crowd of bodies with the ball, tries to bustle his way forward, but Derby get the free kick anyway for the initial challenge on Danny Bart, who's had to be up for the aerial fight tonight. He's not a regular in the Derby team, more a deputy to Matt Clark and Sondra Langas. But to be fair, he's looked as competitive and robust as ever at the heart of defence tonight.
Yeah, he hasn't. I know he's not the sort of the first choice, but he's got bags of experience. You mentioned 35 now, and you don't get to that age and play as many games as he has without knowing the dark arts of the game for sure.
Travis for Derby carries the ball forward, tripped, and wins the free kick off Wallace. Wallace does look more comfortable in that right wing-back position for West Bromwich Albion, certainly more comfortable than Price has done for most of the game so far. Can't help but wonder whether Eric Ramsey will think about starting Jed Wallace against his old club Portsmouth next weekend.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of fitness for him, as you mentioned. He's struggled this season with injuries, so I think if he was fully fit, there'd be no doubt he'd be starting games, Jed Wallace, but I'm just trying to get him to the metrics physically he needs to, I think.
Free kick for Derby, out on the far side there left, and Madger, again, not the full 10 yards. Now he's being called back by the referee. He's going to edge a couple of yards forward again, and the Derby fans continue to protest. Elder sends it over the top of him easily, into the area. Adjaman goes up, headed away. Comes out to Brereton Diaz, right corner of the area. Travis on the overlap, with time to chip in the cross to the back post. Fraulo heads it down, up went Langas, headed away again. Thompson on the edge of the area now for Derby. Thompson works it wide. Travis again in the crossing position. Square ball instead to Brereton Diaz. Malumbi gets a foot in, and it's cleared upfield by Illing Jr. for West Brom. Ward will go all the way back to Zetterstrom, who hammers it high upfield. That's an easy ball for Wallace to control in his chest, but his touch is heavy. Fraulo nips in front of him to win it back for Derby. Now Corey Blackett-Taylor prods it forward towards Adjaman, who is clearly offside. The referee has not stopped the game yet, though, and the ball is delivered in towards Brom Diaz, who heads it down, and then it hits Adjemang via the touch of the goalkeeper and spirals into the side netting. Well, Eric Ramsey is furious, and so too are the West Brom players. The assistant was flagging Adjemang, to me, looked clearly offside. Derby nearly scored, though, Courtney.
Yeah, I don't understand how the referee is overruled from the position where he was. That the assistant can clearly see across the line. We can see from here. We're not far away from the assistant in the position that he was. That Adjemang is miles off. Just a strange sequence of events.
And it ends with the score still 1-0 to Derby, who've been much better, as I say, since the triple substitution. But West Brom have still got a chance to get a crucial point in the relegation battle. Well, it's only 1-0. There's still plenty of hope for them. 12 minutes plus added time to go. Yelling Junior blocked off by Ward, who pokes it forward into the path of Fraulo. Fraulo carries the ball over the halfway line. Plenty of white shirts in support. Ward is to the right. Ward away down the right-hand side with an early cross to the back post over the head of Blackett-Taylor, who ran towards the near instead. Callum Elder looking to win it back for Derby on that far side, and he gets the throw after the tackle by Jed Wallace.
And Ward does ever so well there. What I'm really confused about is Adjemang, because as Ward gets that ball, he just stops. And I think he's probably trying to go for the cutback, but there, if you keep continuing forward, make sure you keep yourself on side and you're occupying two of the three centre halves and find a gap in between them both. Ward can then just fizz it across. It's a really odd decision for Adjemang just to stop his run and try and hang around that penalty spot for the cutback.
Well, Danny Bart's going to need a new shirt here, I think. Has he got blood on the shirt? He has. Bleeding from his nose at the moment, so a real warrior, Danny Bart, a player of great tenacity, comes over to the near side of the field, and they're going to need to get a new shirt for him, I'm sure. Derby will be down to 10 men momentarily. They do have a long throw on the far side. Elder, I think, will be told you've got to take it by the referee while Bart is being treated, or is he going to wait for the Derby defender? No. The right thing to do is to make Derby take the throw. That's the letter of the law. The referee has stopped the game again, and he's pointing towards Langas at the moment, calling him over. There's a quick word with the other Derby centre-half, who's in a tangle with his opposite number, Campbell. Really close fought and keenly contested as Bart gets ready to come back on without a shirt number. The man with no number for the final 10 minutes or so. Long throw into the penalty area for Derby, only half-headed away, dropped down towards Langas on the edge of the box. Fraulo went up, headed clear by DK for West Bromwich Albion. Now maybe they can break. Away on the left-hand side is Malumbi, but he loses out in midfield to Travis. Then Fraulo brings down Malumbi. That's a free kick to West Brom. Bart comes onto the field. Good pace and energy as we go into the last 10 minutes, and this is much more like the sort of game I think we were hoping for, Courtney.
Yeah, more of what we're expecting, and say the home fans now, you can hear them, they're really getting behind their side and they're reacting to what they're seeing on the pitch. I just can't really believe it's taken this long for Derby to show this type of impetus.
Header into the area for West Brom, too long on it for Madger, gathered by Zetterstrom. Derby looking for the second goal that would really kill the game off and condemn West Brom to yet another away defeat. Big diagonal sweeping ball by Ward, well controlled by Blackett-Taylor out on the left. He slides in to try and keep possession ahead of Wallace. Thompson then in a 50-50 with Wallace, which he loses out on. West Brom on the counter-attack now. On the right is Isaac Price for them, hugging the far side touchline. Early ball into the penalty area towards DK. Good work by Langas in the one-on-one. Just shrugged aside DK there like he wasn't there.
Yeah, brilliant defending. Doesn't get caught, doesn't get too excited, just leans in, makes sure uses all his strength, Langas, without obviously giving away a penalty, making a foul in the penalty box, and just happily lets that run behind the goal. It's really experienced defending.
And this is just the start of a massive weekend of football across the TalkSport network. As always, the best way to stay in touch with everything is to download the TalkSport app. On the Monday Night Football, we'll have a choice of listening for you. Everton against Leeds in the Premier League on TalkSport. Here on 2, the leaders Coventry go to Norwich. Adjemang left wing position for Derby. Scampers away from Mepham. Low ball into the penalty area, cleared away by Campbell. Out of play for a Derby throw.
A bit fortunate there, Ajimang. That's cleared and it's still a Derby ball because he just puts it in without looking. There's only Brereton Diaz in there and he's nowhere near it. He's trying to keep up with play. That's where they've just got to be a little bit more astute, Derby. They're in the ascendancy, but there, Ajimang, he can just cut back, keep the ball, recycle it until more bodies get in the box.
Well, Derby maybe finishing the better side. Derby 1, West Brom 0. 8 minutes left plus added time. There's going to be a yellow card here for Callum Elder for time wasting in front of the 3,000 West Brom fans who've made the trip from the West Midlands, and credit every single one of them given West Brom's away form this season. Long throw into the penalty area by Elder. Bart trying to get up. Good header away. Thumping header clear that by Mepham. And now they can clear it further forward, West Brom, with Wallace into the path of DK. Into the Derby half he goes. He's nudged it wide right to Price. Wallace is on the overlap. Price goes infield. Square ball now to Campbell. Campbell is midway inside the Derby half. He's worked it wide on the angle to Illing Jr. with a decent cross to the back post, and that's a really good header away by Elder at the expense of a corner to West Brom.
Yeah, had to be done though, and Elder has got that awareness. He knows that he's got players behind him. Decent ball in by Illing Jr. And actually when he's got up that left hand side, he's done well. He's such a threat, but probably just a little bit off the mark.
And Illing Jr. is going to go across and take the corner here for West Bromwich Albion. Any point is a good point on the road at the moment for West Brom. Can they find a late equaliser at Pride Park here? Derby have brought everybody back. Delivered in by Illing Jr. Up go the heads, and it's nodded behind again. It's another corner to West Brom. Ward got up for Derby, who are going to bring on Dion Sanderson, another centre half in a few moments, and Lars Jorgen Salverson for a little bit of added aerial impetus in the forward line as well. Another West Brom corner. It'll be in swinging left-footed again by Illing Jr. into the near post, only half away. Free kick given. Foul on Ajimang. Free kick to Derby County.
Yeah, they get away with one there, Derby. Didn't look the most convincing, but that's why, as you say, the likes of Sanderson and Salverson are coming on just to add that aerial threat and solidity.
Well, off goes Brereton Diaz. Sanderson taking to the field. Some of the Derby fans in front of us heading for the exits now, certainly. And Salverson for Ajimang is a straight swap up front. The Norwegian onto the field in place of the American, who has scored just his second goal for Derby at Pride Park, his 8th of the season, as Courtney was saying earlier. And it looks like being the winner.
Yeah, it does right now, and sure West Brom will still give it a good go, but Derby have looked a lot better in the second phase of this second half. More energy, and that triple substitution I think really helped their cause. So I think John Eustace won't be happy with the first period of what he's seen, but in terms of the substitutes coming on and making an impact, he should be very happy with that.
Watches on with his arms folded at the moment, the Derby County head coach, who is on the verge of guiding his team into the playoff positions at the moment, into 6th spot with 17 games to go for Derby. It would be West Brom will have 17 games to go, and they're only 3 points clear of the relegation zone. We've got less than 5 minutes left on TalkSport 2. 5 minutes of normal time. Derby County 1, West Bromwich Albion 0. On the halfway line for West Brom is Price with the angled ball to the right. Wallace back to Mepham. Mepham square to Phillips inside the centre circle. Now Campbell out in front of the two head coaches, Ramsey and Eustace, watching on from the near side touchline. It could be 3 defeats from 3 for Eric Ramsey since taking charge. Not really looked like scoring in this second half, West Brom. Down the left goes Malumbi. There was a foul on DK anyway, and West Brom putting on the pressure here in terms of the set plays. They've got a free kick in a very dangerous position near the right corner, the left corner rather, of the penalty area.
Just watching what Derby did as well from those substitutions, Salverson and Sanderson, and they've matched West Brom up. They've gone on 5 at the back. Sanderson slotted in as the third centre half, and Elders now playing wing back along with Ward on the other side.
Well, Jed Wallace will take this free kick. Hands on hips, it certainly favours the in-swinging delivery of a right footer. Will he try and float it, or will he really fizz it in with some pace? Derby again at the north stand end of the ground have brought everyone back. In by Wallace, and it's a poor delivery. Headed away by the first man, Ward. Nodded back into the penalty area by Diakite. Price scoops it over the top. Clever ball. Imagine it, he got in behind. Good covering by Ward again. The offside flag is up, but Joe Ward wasn't to know that. And not for the first time tonight, actually. A really important intervention from the right back.
Yeah, it was excellent from him. His anticipation of worst case scenario, what might happen, where the ball might drop, and being able to clear the danger was excellent from him in that moment.
Into the 88th minute now on Talk Sport 2 in cold and at times windy conditions at Pride Park. Derby not far away from a very important victory on a night where the results certainly will beat the performance, it would seem. Derby trying to win it back deep inside the West Brom half. It's a shanked clearance straight out of play by Mepham. Have West Brom done enough to earn a point, Courtney, or have they not quite shown enough in the final third?
I don't think they've shown enough, Joe. There's that big chance from Campbell in the first half, but aside from that, I thought you might see more of a reaction from them in the second half, but Derby have been the one that have turned it up. The substitutes haven't really made the impact. I thought Jed Wallace might do a little bit more, but it's also that, as I mentioned, coincides with the Derby substitutes really impacting the game. So I think they'll feel unfortunate to lose, but equally I don't think they've done enough in the final third to win this game.
Well, the home sections, they're not emptying, but there are certainly a trickle of people leaving, confident that Derby have got the job done. 1-0 in front, 90 seconds of normal time to go. Derby heading for a 12th win of the league season so far. The ball is cleared upfield by Malumbi. A bit desperate now this for West Brom. DK beaten in the air easily by Bart. DK jumped right underneath that high ball. Now Illing Jr. trying to roll it down the left, but it's straight into the path of Ward of Derby. Derby keep possession. Ward rolls it backwards to Langas, and Langas now square pass out to the centre half Sanderson. It's 5 at the back for Derby here in the remaining minutes, and they win a throw just shy of the halfway line. John Eustace turns away, takes a quick swig from a water bottle. He'll have seen much better performances from Derby this season. I've seen Derby probably play better and lose this season on a couple of occasions, but when you are in the playoff hunt, it really doesn't matter how you perform as long as you win.
Yeah, exactly, and he knows he won't get carried away. He'll know with this, and so will the players, that there's an element of fortune in this win, and on another day it could well be a draw or a loss, but you take it, of course you do. You take the 3 points, you push yourself up the table. It's another win added to the tally at home as well, which have been lacking in comparison to away. So they hope that that can really push them on, and this sort of mid to back stage of the season now, really important to get 3 points.
Gasps of disbelief as 6 is the number that goes up on the fourth official's electronic board. 6 added minutes at Pride Park. 1-0 to Derby on Talk Sport 2. West Brom have won the ball back inside their own half. It's with Malumbi. Square pass now to Illing Jr. on the halfway line. Illing Jr. no way through beyond Travis. Good work by Blackett-Taylor helping him out as well. Travis plays it back to Ward. Ward goes long up the near side right channel. Too much on that for Salverson. Out comes O'Leary, the goalkeeper, together. Adjamang's goal in the first half looks as though it's going to be enough for Derby County here. Nearly a minute through, the 6 added at the end of the game. And now for West Brom, what's the approach here, Courtney? It's just got to go long, hasn't it?
It's got to go long. It's got to be urgency. Flood bodies forward, and at this point, yeah, you might get caught on the counter, but it's worth taking the risk.
Delivery in by Illing Jr. was a good one, headed away by Elder at the back post in the left back position for Derby. Tracking back is Blackett-Taylor, but he can't keep hold of it. It's a West Brom throw. Now, Mepham is going to leave it for Campbell, and it'll be a long throw into the penalty area here as West Brom try all they can to scramble home an equaliser in a bid to avoid that ignominious record of away defeats, heading for an 11th straight away loss. Long throw by Campbell in towards DK with a downward header, only half away by Derby. Price going away from goal, back out to the far side. It's dropped to Elling Jr. on the edge of the D. Deflection on the shot, well blocked by Bart. It's hit him square in the face. The referee is going to stop the game in the second minute of the 6 added. Danny Bart taking another blow to the face.
Yeah, that won't help his bloody nose, will it?
Well, he's going to have to be helped up here, but Derby are nearly there. And they have shown some character tonight. Here come the 2 Derby physios. West Brom not happy about the stoppage to play. Well, they didn't really need the physios on at all because Bart is already on his feet. And of course, as a result, Derby are going to be without him for the next passage of play.
Yeah, not what you want when West Brom are going to be flooding bodies forward.
Nearly halfway through the added time. There'll be a little bit of added time at the end of the game, I think, here. West Brom have got it with Wallace. Everybody back for Derby. Wallace from the centre circle. Clips the ball high and long. Header away by Langas, who has been excellent for Derby tonight. Blackett-Taylor keeps the ball in by the corner flag, but his clearance is out of play. Wallace is going to leave it for Campbell again in front of the East Stand. There's going to be another long throw into the penalty area here for West Brom as they seek what feels now like an unlikely draw. Long throw into the penalty area by Campbell. DK going up for it again. Only half away by Travis. Nodded towards goal. And it's turned just wide by Madger. Well, the goalkeeper must have got something on that. Madger denied at point blank range by Zetterstrom. It's a corner.
Yeah, well, the keeper does ever so well. The Derby players aren't happy because they feel it's a foul, but vital for Zetterstrom. Comes out quickly. Probably knows he's going to get hurt in the process. He's still down in a heap. The referees just turn around to the 4th official, hands up as if to say, no, it's fine, don't bring the physios on. He's getting himself back up, but what a big save that could be.
In the 4th minute of added time at the end of the game, Derby 1, West Brom 0, but it's not over yet. Can West Brom fashion an equaliser here, right at the very end? Wallace will take the corner, right-footed and in-swinging. Again, Derby have brought everybody in black and white back to defend it. West Brom have sent almost everybody bar goalkeeper O'Leary forward. In comes the delivery of Wallace into the near post, flicked on by Price, and it's going to go in, is it? No! Cleared off the line, although the referee says the goal is given. West Bromwich Albion have got an equaliser in the 5th minute of added time. Derby couldn't keep the ball out at the far post, and West Brom somehow here, to the delight of 3,000 travelling fans, have claimed what looked like an unlikely point, and finally their run of losses away from home looks like it's coming to an end. Phillips was there at the back post. I'm not quite sure who exactly got the final touch. Zetterstrom thought he'd made a brilliant save, but West Bromwich Albion were not to be denied, and somehow, right at the end, it's Derby 1, West Brom 1.
Well, first and foremost, it's a brilliant ball in from Jed Wallace, and they work it well. Not quite sure who it was in the melee, but there's a front post runner that flicks it onto the back post, and by that point, from our vantage, we're struggling. As you say, I think it's Phillips that gets the initial. Seems to be whether it be a block or a save from Zetterstrom, the goalkeeper, but I think it had already gone across the line. But the weirdest thing for me was the celebration from West Brom. So Jed Wallace goes and celebrates on his own, sort of in the left-hand corner. 3 players go up the opposite side, and then every other West Brom player just sort of trundles back to their own half. It was ever so strange.
It might have been Mepham who got the equaliser for West Brom. We'll get confirmation, and it is Mepham who's been credited with it, and it is 1-1 right at the very end of the game, and surely no time now for an equaliser for Derby County. Mepham has been credited with it in the 95th minute, would you believe it? Well, we're in added time on added time now, and Pride Park is certainly emptying at this point. Here is Ward on the near side, the right, chipping the ball into the area. Salverson going up, can't meet it. Elder on the volley over the top. Well, that was a chance for Derby right at the very end.
Normally as well, so good on the ball, Elder, such a good technician. Completely gets underneath it as it's dropping down. He's at the wrong angle because it's sort of straight on in front of him. probably needs a bit of side angle with it so he can get his hip and knee over it and strike through the ball, but gets underneath it and just completely loops it over the bar. He'll be so disappointed with that.
Well, surely no time left for a winner for either team. The referee has put his whistle to his lips. O'Leary will take the goal kick here, and that will probably be that. O'Leary thumps it high and long, and still we play on at the end of the game. Header away by Elder into touch. It's a West Brom throw just over the halfway line. But they are jubilant, the West Bromwich Albion supporters, having waited so long for some sort of positive result on the road, and they are going to get it tonight, finally. Long throw for West Brom towards DK, headed away, drops down to Malumbi, who scoops it forward. Madra is onto it, plucks it out of the air close to the corner flag. West Brom maybe are not finished just yet. It's cleared away by Derby, and that is the final whistle. And a very late goal by Chris Mepham has salvaged a point for West Brom. And their losing run away from home comes to an end. It's a first point in the job for the new manager, Eric Ramsey. After 3 games, he is off the mark, and Derby missed the chance to move into the Championship playoff places. The Rams do go up a couple of spots into 8th, but in fairness, it was probably a game that neither team deserved to win. Adjumang with the goal in the first half for Derby. Mepham is credited with the late equaliser amid a scramble at the back post for West Bromwich Albion. Derby 1, West Brom 1.